My nearly adult female, Uncle 32, is a mechanic and has a shop. He's taught me everything I know about cars and helps me find cheap beater cars with easy fixes to flip on Craigslist and the marketplace. We've been doing it since I got my permit. Over the last 2 years, I've saved enough money to comfortably attend the local junior college or attend a vocational school. My mom's friend from church was visiting last night with her son, and she and my mom talked about us, teens. She has no sense of morality or responsibility, typical old people stuff, and her friend mentioned how her son refuses to pay tithing no matter how much she tries, and my mom told her I always pay tithing, which is supposed to be 10% of your income. I told her that I do not and have never paid tithing. We've never seen eye to eye on this. I believe in the church, but with all the recent news about how much money they have, I 100% believe they don't need my money. She then said that she and my dad have been paying it for me, that they log into my account and transfer themselves the money so that they can pay it. I had no idea that this was happening. I admit this is partly my fault, since I should have noticed, but banking and numbers have never been my strong point, so I relied on my parents to help with my banking most of the time. They're my parents, so I trusted them and didn't think that this was something I'd ever have to worry about. I shouted at her in front of her friend that she was a thief and had no right to do that. She said she and my dad were doing what was best for me, and I was thinking about my mortal life, and they were thinking about my eternal life. They said I would thank her one day, and I said I wouldn't, and I'd go to the police if they didn't find a way to pay me back. I'm staying at my uncle's place now, but he says I should just let it go, and that money isn't worth sending people to jail over. I'm at a loss. Am I the idiot for going to the police? After looking and doing the math and triple checking everything, I have around 7 to 8K missing. Wow, last I looked, there was a commandment about stealing from other people. They aren't godly if they take your money like that. I wonder what the church would say if you told them that the money you paid to them was actually stolen from you by your parents. Not the idiot, but you might not have legal ground if it's a joint account. Exactly. If their names are on the account, you can't do much about it. In this case, both account holders have equal legal rights over the money, but as you know, there's no chance of getting your money back from the church. Lesson: when you turn 18, open a sole account at a different bank. That means you need to get a hold of your identity documents. I'm proud of what you've done with your uncle. You earned and saved a lot of money for such a young age. Giving the church money does nothing for your eternal life. I don't understand how they think it does. Just remind your parents that the bad place awaits the thief. It was wrong of them to do it. Charity must come from the heart of the one actually giving the charity. You were unaware of it and would have objected had you known. If it were me, I would convert the account into cash, put it in a box, and lock it up at your uncle's business. Since you cannot trust your parents to carry out your wishes in regard to the money, you must do what you can to safeguard it. Also, agree with another person who said you should contact the church to let them know that your parents stole this tithing from you. Theft is a sin, if I recall. In the future, please remember that your parents' sense of morals tells them it's okay to steal if it's for something they like. Treat them as such. So I, teen male, live next door to a single mom, Anne, and her 2 kids, Max, pre-tween, and Mia, younger. Every month or so, she needs a break from them. I babysit for a few hours, $8.50 an hour. She's usually gone for 4 hours at a time and is back at or around 15 minutes later than her specified return time. She leaves me with a list of emergency contacts if something happens and she can't get home fast enough. We agreed that if I had to use an emergency number, I get $10 extra as crisis pay. The last time I watched the kids, around a month ago, Anne stayed an hour and a half past her specified return time and wasn't answering my calls or text. I got worried, so I called one of the emergency contacts, Anne's sister Jen, who came over to stay in the house while she tried to get a hold of Anne. The kids were asleep at this point, but she didn't want to leave them in an empty house, and I went home. Well, as it turns out, Ann had driven into the countryside with no reception to stargaze and got lost. Jen texted me this around midnight once Ann finally texted her back. So the next morning, my mom woke me up, saying that Ann was at the door for me. Here's how the convo went. Me, a little groggy. Hey, what's up? Are you okay? Ann, I'm all right. I just stopped by to pay you. She hands me an envelope. Ann, there you go, kiddo, $47. Me, wait, what about the crisis pay? I had to call your sister. It should be $57. Ann, what crisis? I wasn't in an accident or anything, just lost. Me, you said it was if I had to use an emergency contact. You never said anything about any other requirements. Ann, look, just take it and be happy. A kid like you doesn't need that much money for 5.5 hours of screwing around on your phone. Me, fine. Have a nice day. I shut the door and wrote it off as a loss. Fast forward to yesterday. Ann texts me that she wants to go out on a girls' night and wants to know if I'm free to babysit. I say that I am, but that she'll need to pay me the $10 from last time before I agree to do it. She says she won't do that and restates her argument that it wasn't a real crisis, so I shouldn't get crisis pay. I tell her that I won't babysit for her until I get that $10. She said she needs this break and calls me entitled for refusing. I step back in bewilderment. A few minutes go by without any more texts from her, so I go to my mom to clue her in. I show her the convo, and to my surprise, my mom agrees with Ann. She affirms that I'm being entitled, that I don't know how hard it is to be a single mom, and that I should just suck it up and babysit. I say that I need time to think and head up to my room. This morning, Ann texted me to ask if I would babysit or not. I restated my request, and she also held firm in her refusal. Finally, she said she'd find another sitter, and I said that that's fine. So far, I've stood my ground, but now I'm questioning if my mom might be right. Am I the idiot? Nope, nope, nope. Not the idiot. You provided a service with agreed upon clauses, and you used said clauses. She's trying to weasel out of paying you back because she doesn't consider your time valuable. I wouldn't babysit for her again because she'll try to manipulate you again. Also, just because you're just a kid and don't need that much money, you should let her know that regardless of age, you're still a person who deserves to have their time and effort respected. Ann answers the age-old question, how much is your pride worth? Evidently, $10. What a pathetic anthill for her to die on. I'd kill for a babysitter that lived next door so I could have a break. I'd have given him $10, the apology gift, and my soul for him to still babysit for me. She's really going to regret this decision. OP, it's not your responsibility to be Captain Save a Single Mom. You can find another babysitting job. Can she find another sitter who lives right next door that only charges her $8.50 an hour to babysit 2 kids and puts up with her crap? Ann is making a poor decision. She's taking advantage of you, and your mother is allowing it. The neighbors should be hitting your mom up for minimum wage babysitting with a squishy clock out. I am vegan for my own personal ethical reasons. I have no problem with other people eating meat. I've been watching my nephews on the weekend for the last few months to help my brother out. He and his wife work opposite schedules during the week and barely see each other. So the boys get dropped off with me on Friday night and get picked up on Sunday night. I feed them on Saturday and up until an afternoon snack on Sunday. My brother gives me money to watch them, but I don't really need it and usually spends it on outings for the 3 of us. Movies, the zoo, museums, that sort of stuff. I like being the fun aunt. I don't limit what the boys eat. If we're out somewhere and they want a burger or chicken nuggets, they get them. Well, their mom found out that the meals at my home were vegan, and she had a problem with that. So she packed them snacks with meat, like jerky and pepperoni sticks and string cheese. I didn't want that in my house, so I asked her to not do it again, but she did. So I said that until she understood my very simple rules, I wouldn't allow her in the house or watch the kids. She thinks I'm being an idiot because her children need meat, and I should be grateful for the extra money I get to watch my nephews. Once again, I probably spend more on them every weekend than I get from my brother. My parents know how I feel about meat. They know I won't even get a dog or a cat as a pet because they need meat in their diets. My brother has asked me to please return to the way it was. I have no problem with that, but he has to control his woman. Am I the idiot? Edit. Control his woman is just how my brother and I talk to each other. He's often told me to control my man. You are the idiot. If you don't want to babysit anymore, don't babysit. But these are their children, and you should respect their wishes. They're not asking you to cook anything. They're providing snacks and asking that you give them to the boys. The boys may have complained to their mom and dad that they're hungry on the weekends and don't like the food served in your house. I also think this is a weird hill to die on. You're fine buying them hamburgers and chicken nuggets when you're out at the zoo with them, but if their mom sends a string cheese with them to be kept in your refrigerator for snacking, that's the absolute end of the world? I disagree. OP's not the idiot. She doesn't want meat in her home. It is her ethical choice. The children are not being harmed. The parents are free to find someone else to watch them. She offered to watch them for free and spent the money they gave her on outings for the kids. Sounds like the best game in town. I'm not vegan, but I don't see anything wrong with her asking them to respect her wishes a few days a week. She also said she's been feeding the kids vegan meals for some time before sister-in-law decided that this was the fight she wanted. I think everyone's the idiot here. Both parties should end the babysitting arrangement if they can't come to an agreement for the good of the children. I simply think it's a weird line to draw that you claim to have no problem as a vegan serving up hamburgers and chicken nuggets to your nephews while on outings, but throw a hissy fit at the idea of a string cheese sitting in your refrigerator and the he has to control his woman line at the end? Gross. My 42 male, son, 19, wants to buy a $35,000 truck. He dropped out of high school against my advice at the earliest possible moment of 16. Since then, he's constantly made up all these dumb schemes to make money. For example, he bought a broken old sawmill for $500 and got it working, and supposedly has been selling the lumber for the past few years. Well, the POS truck he uses to get his gear up old dirt back roads has finally broken down beyond repair, and now he wants to get some expensive brand new Toyota pickup truck. I don't know what he wants to get exactly, and I don't care. All I know is that it's a terrible financial decision, and I'm tired of his antics, and he needs to get a real job or go to college. So I told him, if he buys that truck, it's going to be the last straw for me. If he buys it, I'm kicking him out. I went as far as to say that if he doesn't start trying to actually get his life on track within a couple of months, he's gone. He says he doesn't understand why I'm being so mean. He so obviously is trying to justify the purchase by saying things like, well, it's going to be my only car, so I want to be comfortable. And, well, it's not like it's some ridiculous $60,000 thing. Not to mention the apparent lies he tells me about how he has enough to buy it outright and that he's been keeping all his money in cash because he doesn't trust me. Why wouldn't he trust me? Totally BS. We got into a screaming match with him storming off to God knows where when his loser buddy picked him up. He called me an idiot, and my wife says I'm being unreasonable. If my wife says that, she may have a point, so I'm asking if I'm the idiot. Edit. He does not pay rent. He has a bank account we opened for him when he was 15, which is a joint account that he seems to not use. You are the idiot. You don't know how much your son makes or exactly what he does, but it's obvious that he's making good money and is in fact working. So why do you assume he doesn't have a real job? It may not fit into your box for employment, but it's seemingly successful. It might be better for him to find his own place and simply not speak to you any further. A $35K new truck is probably pretty low end. Plus, if he's doing lumber work, he obviously needs a truck for income. The kid would obviously be better off getting his own place, where he's not being constantly accused of being a dumb lover for actually working and saving. Dude, your son is 19, not 29. So he's not doing bad if he's making his own money his way. You sound like someone who looks down on the trades. Realistically, a used truck for like $20K that can afford to get beat up a little is probably a better option here, but you're being very unsupportive. And with how you don't approve of his work, you actually don't have a great finger on the pulse of how his business is going. 3 years is a significant period for someone his age. While dropping out of school can be easily frowned upon, he sounds resourceful and dedicated. OP mentions son doesn't pay rent, so if he has enough cash to buy a truck, son can also start paying rent. Also, if he has only $35K, then it's still a dumb decision. If he has more, being kicked out isn't the end of the world. He can still afford rent. Honestly, I think the son is a sugar dealer. That's the first thing I thought of as well. OP, you're not the idiot. If he has the money to buy a new truck and lead a fancy lifestyle, then he can pay rent and bills. If he isn't paying rent, he has an unreal idea of how to work and live, and you're effectively contributing to his vehicle purchase. A couple of months ago, my brother told me he had been dating a guy and wanted to bring him as his guest to my wedding. My wedding will be a very small and intimate event, with only my family and close friends, and my fiancé invited. So I asked the guy who this guy was, and he wasn't anyone I'd ever met before. My fiancé and I had taken care to only invite the people that we were closest to, and I really didn't want someone I'd never met before there. My brother wasn't happy. He said that this was the perfect opportunity to introduce his new boyfriend to the family. I said my wedding wasn't for that. It was for celebrating my marriage. To compromise, I suggested he plan a family dinner and bring his boyfriend to that. Once the dinner was over, I'd have met the boyfriend, so I'd probably feel more comfortable with him going to the wedding. My brother agreed, and I followed up with him a week later, asking when the dinner was, and he asked me to schedule it. I said I was in the middle of planning a wedding, and I felt he needed to schedule it. I followed up later, and he said he needed to figure out what day would work. He never brought it up after that, nor did I because I was so busy. My wedding's next week, and my brother still wants to bring his boyfriend, but I said no. I don't want a stranger at my wedding. At this point, it's too late to schedule dinner because the next week is booked with wedding activities, and there's no day I'll have time to drive 2 hours to where the rest of the family is staying. He says I'm being an idiot to not let him bring his boyfriend to the wedding. Am I? Bruh, not the idiot. It's not unreasonable to not want strangers at your wedding, especially if it's a small and intimate affair. Small and intimate weddings are just that, friends and close family, not a family reunion, and not a place where you bring people for the first time. This isn't a full-blown wedding. Your brother had plenty of time to meet your completely reasonable request, and it's not on you that he failed to completely plan for a simple family dinner. Honestly, I'm starting to think that the brother really only wants to sabotage the OP's wedding. I have a question. OP, is your brother out? Do most of your family know he's gay? Even if it's known to everyone, you're correct. Your wedding isn't the place to introduce the new boyfriend. And I do believe he wants to use your wedding for this, so that the attention will be put on him. OP, is this something he does a lot? Making events that aren't about him be about him? You really need to sit down and talk to your brother about wedding etiquette. Rule number 1, don't deliberately take attention away from the bride and groom. It's not just wedding etiquette. It's an event planned around the celebration of another person. Don't announce your engagement at someone's birthday. Don't announce your divorce at someone's graduation party. Don't announce your pregnancy at someone's funeral. Don't announce your medical diagnosis at someone's baby shower. It's not your event.